Good morning, guys. So it is fertilizing day. I fertilize my Bermuda basically every 2 weeks, although I have 3 weeks at this point because I just was super busy this week and didn't have a time to spray it, and it rained a bunch. So nice day today out here spraying. I'm gonna go over my little homemade yard spraying setup here. So what I'm spraying today is I've got some urea here and some chelated iron, or chelated iron, however you want to pronounce it. Some people pronounce it chelated, some people pronounce it chelated, whatever. So I've got some Lesco Iron Plus. It also has some other micronutrients in it. And I've got some just 4000 urea here. And what I'm doing is I'm melting down the urea into buckets. I've got two separate buckets here, 5-gallon buckets, based on the math on the size of, so basically I have to kind of split up. I only have a 25-gallon tank here. This is a Fimco sprayer I got from, this is like their spot sprayer that I got from Tractor Supply. I actually got this one on clearance because the pump was bad. And what I ended up doing is actually buying a new pump. I got a 4-gallon per minute pump here. This is a 12 volt pump. And then I've got it running off just a little lawn and garden battery here. Works fine. When I'm done doing a spray, I will recharge this battery on the battery charger, and then it's ready to go next time. I made a little platform here out of some 2x, and then these are screwed down to my little dump cart. And then I just have some ratchet straps here to ratchet strap the tank down to the cart. And then what I did is I got rid of the sprayer that came with it, and I've got about 80 feet of 3/8 inch spray hose here, and then I put a Lesco Chemlon gun on the end of it. I've mentioned it in other videos, but I used to be licensed to spray here in Georgia. I had a small little landscape business, maintenance business, where I did maintenance and I did their turf care too. And I did that for a number of years, and then I sold that company, sold off all those accounts a little over 10 years ago. It was like 11 years ago now. So I kind of went to, school. I had to study and take a test on learning how to spray all this stuff, and learned a lot of it through the School of Hard Knocks. So I've also made this little tank filler. Yeah, this is a conduit because I didn't have any 1-inch PVC, so whatever, it doesn't matter. I just hook the garden hose up to this, and then this is just kind of movable, and it goes in the tank. That way the hose stays in place and I don't have to sit there and hold the hose and wait for it. I've got the 2-gallon per minute nozzle on this one. And basically that sprays about 2 gallons. Basically I get 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet out of that, 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet out of that nozzle there. And I use that for spraying the urea. Let me go back to the urea here. So I'm melting that down. I'll do it in a second. I'll do it off camera, but I've got a little paddle mixer over there that I'll put on the drill. I'll mix this up. I divided it equal parts, put 7 pounds in each, so we got a total of 14 pounds based off of the amount of area I need to cover, and doing the math off of this being 4000. I'll walk you through the math here. Okay. So I have, in the first section of my yard, I have about 12,500 square feet of Bermuda, and then I have another section that I'll do on the second tank. And I've got a 25-gallon tank. So to figure out how much nitrogen I'm going to put down, I'm trying to put down a 0.5 pound per 1,000 square feet. I do that every 2 weeks, 0.5 pound per 1,000 square feet, so that I get a full pound per month. So I divide that in half. So 12.5 divided by 2 is 6.25. And then you divide that by 0.40, because 4000 means it's 40% nitrogen per pound in that. So you divide that by 0.400. That gives me basically roughly 15.5 pounds. And then there is some nitrogen in this chelated iron here. So I don't want to like overdose it with nitrogen. So I actually just call it 14 pounds of nitrogen. So I cut back 1.5 pounds, give or take. I haven't really actually done the math on how much nitrogen I'm doing on there, but whatever, it works. It does a good job. And I put iron out every single time I spray. Iron gives it, you know, we got the micronutrients in there, and then the iron gives it a good deep green color. So I mix all that in, and then I just bought a new bag. This time I got 4600, so next time I spray, I'll have to change my math a little bit. I spray that on the Bermuda, and again, I do it with my little homemade spray setup here. I tow it around with this, and then I've got 80 feet of hose, so I can do a pretty large area, and then I do have to move it a few times as I'm spraying, but that's no big deal. I also rigged this up with some spray jets inside of it. I don't know if you can see them inside there, but I basically put a T in there. I put a T in, and then I put little nozzles on either side so that it sprays, and it'll actually it'll agitate the mixture in here. So a lot of professional spray tanks have either mechanical agitation or they have spray jet agitation. I remember I used to have a big Lesco skid sprayer for my truck, and it had jet agitation in it with jets that would agitate and keep the chemicals mixed. Basically what it does is it takes the bypass from the tank, so it bypasses the pressure, and it bypasses and sprays all that extra stuff back into the tank, and keeps the tank mixed. So this pump works great for what I do. Again, it's 4 gallon per minute pump. It literally just bolted on. There was like a 2 gallon per minute pump on here before. Works great, no issues with this. I can kind of tow it around the yard, get it where I want it. And then today I'm doing the Bermuda, and then in the backyard, I've got to spray fungicide on the fescue, and I'm also going to put a little iron on the fescue in the back because it is Georgia, and it is now the end of May, and I'm already getting brown patch. Honestly, I should have sprayed some fungicide on this like probably a few weeks ago, but I have been just flat out too busy. And so I'm going to go spray some Headway on this today, and then we'll rotate that out with some T-Storm, which is a Lesco product. And then I'll go back to Headway. You want to kind of rotate your fungicides so you don't get resistance to them. And there's also a maximum amount of Headway you can spray per year. I don't remember what it is, but always read the label. One thing I learned out of doing my pesticide test is read the label, read the label, read the label, read the label. If you're not sure, read the label one more time, read the freaking label. It will tell you everything you need to know. So that's my homemade spray setup here. It works great. I'm going to modify it a little bit. I would like to put a bigger tank so I can do the whole front yard in one tank and not have to come back and fill it back up. And then I would also like to put a little hose reel on this with some more hose so that I don't have to move at all, and I can just park it right on my driveway in the middle, and I can spray my entire yard and not have to move anywhere. I think I'll have to put a little bit more powerful of a pump because you do have some pressure loss by the end of the hose. So we'll see. I've got to measure that out, but anyways, that's my spray setup. I'm gonna go spray the yard today, and hope you guys enjoy it. Talk to you later. Bye. All right, so I'm gonna do this. Got some gloves on, and we're gonna pour this in the tank, and hopefully we don't spill it and make a mess. Sometimes I spill it, sometimes I don't. I've got this all agitated and mixed up. This other bucket in here, pour it, try not to make a mess. And then a little bit left in the bucket. Turn the hose back on. I'll rinse this off. I only spilled a tiny little bit here, so just rinse that off. And also have carpenter bees in this wood here, so there's like wood chips everywhere. Just rinse that off, and then I'm gonna just kind of spray this here. Kind of mix up that last little bit of pellets. There's just a little tiny one that we're going to do there. We'll stuff dissolves if you agitate it and get it going. That's probably good right there. And then I'll just dump the rest into the bucket or into the tank. Now, the 5-gallon buckets are nice and clean. And there we go. Now what we'll do is we will hook up this little homemade fill contraption I have here, and we'll hook that up here. Set that up. I'm going to turn on the water over here, and then I'll turn on the pump and let the agitation run, and we'll fill the tank up to 25 gallons because I've got 12,500 square feet. I'm applying 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet, so that's 25 gallons, and it will work out perfectly. So that's it, pretty much. So we'll fill this up, and then I'll put the cap on, and I'll go out and I'll spray the yard, and then I'll come back and I'll do my second area. There's a second part on the right side of my driveway. That's a smaller area. The other part of my front yard is 4,800 square feet, so I'll go do that part second. I'll mix up a smaller tank. I won't fill the tank all the way up. We'll do that, and then what we'll do is we'll come back and I'll do the fungicide on the backyard. I'm also going to spray some 3-way on the backyard too, because I've got some broadleaf weeds back there and stuff. Probably a little too much to spot spray, so I'll just do a blanket spray of 3-way on the backyard. I haven't sprayed 3-way on that yard since last year. I try to avoid putting chemicals on my yard if at all possible. People are like, oh, well, this is chemicals. I mean, yeah, I guess technically you're right. This is just urea, it's just nitrogen. Normally I also spray a little bit of Turf Titan organic stuff too to mix in with it, but I'm out of it. I need to go get some more. I gotta call my buddy Darren. Some of you might know Lawn Dad Official on Instagram. He's a buddy of mine, Darren. He actually lives right down the road from me. He's sponsored by Turf Titan, and he's got an entire garage full of Turf Titan stuff. So I actually go over there and he gives me some Turf Titan stuff. Sometimes I'll buy it, sometimes he'll give me some. Yeah, Darren's a good dude, and I've gotten to know him because our kids go to school together. So. All right, guys, that's it for today. See ya.